Hey everybody, welcome to Obscurities in Miniatures, and maybe this model in front of the camera at the moment looks familiar to you. It was one of the Dragonborn Defenders that Lord of the Print put out recently. In fact, there was a whole set of these guys. Really nice looking, very lizard-like Dragonborn warriors with a bit of a desert theme going on. You can see the scimitar hanging off of his belt there. Now, these were kind of cool in that they had the option to be both traditional lizard man-like without any wings, or if you were so inclined, you could go ahead and actually glue on various wing membranes for them, and then there would be little slots on the models, like for example, this Necromancer. And this Necromancer I had to print out because with that cowl on his face, and they actually had an option or two, I think, for this guy without both the robe or the cowl. Some serious Draconum vibes from Mage Knight. And for those of you of a certain age and a certain gaming preference, you may remember the Draconum from Mage Knight, and they were my favorite faction to collect up until I forget what they were called. There were those clear, translucent elemental people. Those ones were pretty cool too. I like those. I really liked Mage Knight. I had a lot of fun collecting Mage Knight, tracking down stuff, specifically dungeons. I never really got into the bigger battles of everything. Had a lot of fun picking stuff up, playing dungeons, homebrewing stuff, and ended up trading and swapping away just about my entire collection for most of the stuff that got this channel finished, come to think of it. So it's kind of funny, actually. You can see right here, these are the areas right where my thumb is pointing to. This little section is where his wings get glued on. I'm not a fan. I didn't really care for that. I might just kind of glob over that stuff. They did not want to cooperate with me. Maybe some of you out there are going to have better luck, or maybe it's just my glue that sucks. But that's not even what I wanted to talk about in this video. I even have some of the other poses. They were just some fun models, and they had like the boss Dragonborn. And again, would look really cool if he had his wings. I chose not to print him with wings. And every one of the guys that had a turban on ended up having like a little feather up there that I ended up snapping off. That was not fun. No, those weren't even my favorite models that were released with this set. I'll be honest with you guys. The most exciting figure that came out of this release was the Gemstone Peddler. I took a look at this guy and I was like, that is my spirit animal right there. A big, plump, well-dressed lizard. He's got layers and layers of clothes on, and I've got something stuck on my finger there. I don't know what that is. And again, I don't even know if that's his little feather thing that I've stuck on the top there. It snapped off and I glued it on. But he just looks like a pompous windbag. I love this guy. He's not even that tall. He's got like that short man syndrome. I'm more important than you are. No, but the coolest thing is, check out the base that they made for this dude to sit on. Obviously need to clean it up a little bit more. Some cacti growing on it. Just looks like some fun. He's supposed to be a gemstone peddler, so I'm assuming those are all gemstones right there. And the thinness of some of the parts on here. Like those tongs. Just some fun stuff going on. Coins on the floor underneath near the treasure chest there. I will paint it. I'm going to. It's a matter of time. Come, my friend. Let me show you my wares. I don't know, every time we go to Japan and there's like all these kebab places near where my brother lives, and they always call me my friend. Come, my friend. Come enjoy some kebab. And I always want to, and I always have to tell them, I'm sorry, we have plans. They always seem legitimately disappointed. It's so sad. Every time one of these days, I'm going to go get some kebab stuff over one of those places. Leave it to me craving kebabs, Turkish kebabs in Japan. That's a whole different story, and I don't know what that has to do with our gemstone peddler guy. But, okay, so we have this version of him, but that's not even the one that was like, oh god, I gotta get that guy. I love that guy, but he's not the star of the show. For me, it's this fella right here. Moving on. New towns to visit. New things to peddle. And he's actually got this little rope here, and much like the wings on the defenders that he hangs around with, you're going to have to attach the rope to his larger friend. So, as is always the case with these releases, we've got a bunch of mounted stuff, and the mounted stuff, honestly, this is what I really wanted to show you guys. This chonker right here. I absolutely love this model. I am such a sucker for baggage train animals. I don't even know why. I always have been. True story, as a kid growing up in the early 80s in the heyday of the original Star Wars trilogy, Scout's Honor, my absolute favorite Star Wars character was the dewback. I kid you not. That was my favorite toy from the Star Wars line. All the way up until Return of the Jedi, probably, in the Rancor, which I never got, but that was okay. Always wanted a Rancor, but man, oh man, the dewback was literally my favorite Star Wars toy. The Tauntaun, a close second. I couldn't cut its belly open to stick Luke in, but, I could at least shove their feet through his torso in the top, much like the dewback. And this thing gives me major dewback vibes. I mean, obviously, it's got a bit of a desert flair for it. Its whole baggage train luggage rack here is nice and separable. It's going to be a little bit easier to paint with. I had a bit of a problem getting his head aligned. You can see there's a pretty noticeable gap there. It's a bit unfortunate. Is it a deal breaker? No. Could I fill it? Sure. Will I? Doubt it. The little tassels all around him. And I've mentioned a couple of times, one of my favorite tabletop models was the old Wasteland Raiders set from Ralpartha. And while it didn't have as much baggage all over it, it did have a rider on a giant lizard, but he had a bit of gear tucked away on the back and around the saddle of his mount. He had a couple of lizardman friends riding on raptors. I loved that set. Like I said, I'm a sucker for these. And the cool thing is, if you're not interested so much in our luggage rack friend here, there are mounted versions with all of the Dragonborn dudes, again, with or without the wings. So if you want something a bit more practical, and these are big models, if you wanted to convert one into a dewback, maybe you could. So you can see it's a good size. I didn't print the base for it, and I'm of two minds. It was a two-part base. I'm not a really big fan of those because it seems like I can never get things to line up correctly. So I don't know. I might just put it on a big oval. To me, that might work out okay. The thing is, now, Lord of the Print did have a dinosaur release earlier on. A couple of them, in fact, now that I think about it. And there were a few pack animals, and I like when they had their fisherman set. Some of the dinosaurs had, like, luggage racks and junk. But I've got my old Mini Monster Mayhem pack Ankylosaurus, and I think this is just going to be a nice piece. Eventually, I am going to have a full-on... I've mentioned this many times, in fact. I know I've got some of the other Mini Monster Mayhem dinosaur caravan figures printed up and actually some painted, but I am absolutely one of these days going to put together a big reptile train. Dinosaur train, or reptile train I think works better because they're not all going to be dinosaurs, but you can have... it's supposed to be that the Gemstone Peddler is actually leading it on a tether, I think. But I think it works okay without it. It's just a fun piece, and I'm imagining once everything on this guy is painted, it's going to be a very colorful, fun model to look at as well. The baggage train doesn't want to line up exactly, but I hope that it won't be a huge issue once everything is attached. But you can see there's just a ton of stuff on there. Our Ankylosaurus friend is getting jealous and wants attention as well. So, I mean, this was just a really stellar release. And the one that followed it, which was a bunch of frogs and turtles, looks to follow in similar footsteps. And at some point or other, I'll probably have some printed off because it looks like all of the frogs have very Naruto-style mounts where they're all carrying pipes with them and stuff. Got some fun turtle shamans. So, yeah, this one, I mean, it might take me a while to get to having it painted, but it will be painted. So if you're curious, you know, keep following along on this channel. At some point or other, we always post videos of whatever is painted every Monday, barring any weeks that don't get things done, but that's a rarity. So, like I said, if you want to see it, keep an eye on those Monday videos in our weekly painting progress. And in the meantime, at least, you can click on the link down below, take a look through Lord of the Prince releases yourself. And one of the nice things is, if you aren't hitting up one of the major sales, one of those Patreon bonuses is always being able to get these models at a discounted price. So there's always that to think about as well. So with that said then, this has been High Lord Tamberlane with Obscurities and Miniatures saying thanks for watching, and we will see you back here soon. Bye-bye.